Hello, hello, hello. Good time zone to everybody. How y'all doing? I hope you're all having a good time. New Year is here in a couple of days. Hopefully, everyone's got settled in, back into the flow of things, if a little slowly. Some of you might still be on winter break. Some of you might still be just on vacation. If so, definitely take it. Good time. Enjoy yourself. As for me, I'm getting ready to put together something I've been meaning to put together for a while now. This time we're not doing Gunpla tonight. I've been able to tell just by the feed if you saw it over on Twitter or by some other hints that I may have put up. But tonight we are going to be doing instead Lego, which is a slightly different field, but still snap fit models. And this one was a present that I got a little while ago. I just haven't had the chance to put together yet. Is a very special thing for me. It's a silly thing, but I'll be honest, silly things are really important sometimes. So let's go over and check out the hand cam stream. Dun dun dun. Here we are, folks. This, what we're doing with this is a diorama set for Star Wars Death Star Trench Run, which is a very special thing in Star Wars for me because it's well, I grew up on Star Wars, and Trench Run was the climax of the first movie. And it's one of those things of it's been often imitated, frequently duplicated, and I always enjoy it. Whether it's in Ace Combat or it's in an actual Star Wars game, so times that it's in the actual Star Wars games are sadly pretty rare. But yeah, so this is what we'll be putting together tonight. It shouldn't be too bad. I don't. I honestly have not put together a Lego set in quite a while. I don't remember how hard they are. I know some of the little bits are going to be super tiny compared to my hands, and I don't have any special tools unless this thing came with one for the specialty bits, the really small ones and all that. But this is what we'll be working with. So, yeah, this is 665 pieces. If someone that has put together a Lego set recently might know how complicated or not complicated that is. I remember seeing kits walk past the Lego store, something like hundreds or thousands of pieces. They'd have things like rebuild the Saturn V rocket. That's a thing you're gonna do. Is what it is. I'm gonna check it out. We'll be playing along with it, and yeah, I hope everyone has a good time. Oh, had a little. I've been having a little bit of a rough week this week, so if I make odd noises, don't mind me too much. It's just me being an old man. All right, so let's take a look at this. I haven't opened this up. I don't know anything that's in here. Is there a special way to open this? I don't know. I feel like there's got to be some kind of actual like mechanism for opening this. Like you can't just be tear it apart, can it? It is tear it apart. I don't know. Right. Okay, well, tear it apart it is. As we can see here, we have little helpers here today. Put them all up here for the moment. bunch of little baseboard pieces here. Just kind of freestanding in the kit. And we have instructions. Alright. So I'm going to keep this box off to the side here as a parts collection bay. Apologies if this hits the mic. There we go. Alright. So yeah, we got 600. You know, it's funny. They say 665 pieces, right? 665. That's got to be on purpose, right? Like, they just explicitly went for, okay, we can't have it be 666 or we're going to get in trouble with someone. So, I was not expecting the manual to be this thick. It's mildly concerning. Let's see what's in here. We got, okay, a little description in multiple languages. Horse is strong with this one. Alright. Outmaneuvering Darth Vader. Just. Okay, they did provide a little tool in bag one here. Wasn't that fancy. A lot of plastic ASMR noises tonight, let me tell you what. If you're in here for crinkles, you're not going to be too terribly disappointed. Alright. We have our separator tool. Look at that. Says we're going to need it. Don't know. We'll see. So, I feel like that 1, 2, 3 here is a little disingenuous. Okay, so it looks like, alright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is, you know, I know this is just like the general steps here, but I really gotta ask how well they thought that through. Because I'm looking at it right now, and I'm going, oh yeah, go from this to that. Perfect. Makes sense. I get it. 100%. We are here. I can follow that instruction simply. It's like the art instructions of how to draw a character. And it's like, step 1, draw a circle. Step 2, draw the character. Done. Easy. I know there's more. This is like the general check step, but it's just like, man. Okay, so they want me to empty bag 1. So I'm going to put all the other bags in here for right now because I've already opened bag 1. They want bag 1 and the 3 floating pieces like that. So they want to just empty it out. Okay. Bag 1 emptied. Bag 1A, apparently. All right. All right. Okay. Now this is more my speed. I think I can handle this. The biggest thing that always messes me up with the Lego instructions though is like I can see the studs. They're right here. Then they're like, okay, grab the black piece. Now, I know they mean this one and not this one. But there's that part of me that goes, okay, I got to count the number of studs that are on this picture versus the number of studs that are on the actual thing. It looks like, you know, here's, and I see that right there. That would have got me. Because I can see roughly in there that the thing here is supposed to be this one and not this one. At least I think. See what happens. So I'm supposed to make this one about in the middle. I'm just gonna roughly count on both sides here. 4 studs on either side. I know, it's Lego. It's not that hard, but still. Some of these kids can get fiendishly tricky. All right, so now Potato, what are you crying about? Huh? What you crying about? Come in here. You can snuggle up with your sister on the bed. You got a bed right here, big enough for both of you. Is Emily got something on her forehead. I'm not sure what it is. Hold on a second. I'm gonna put these two pieces down. I'm just gonna check on them real quick, make sure that nothing strange is happening. Hold on. So the problem was that all of their food, and they were like, "But now the food's gone. What do we do? What do we do? We don't know." So that's the catastrophe. They ate their food. How horrible. All right. These go here. All right. Put these in first. Just all reinforcing the base trays here. It always struck me. Wait a minute. Okay. So I need Two of these. Guessing. Those. 5 of these. This is a piece I've not seen before. But I'm guessing they'll go a little something like that. Almost had a problem there. And then I need these two. That there, that there. I don't know. Kind of a weird, kind of strange. Two of these. All 8 of these. These aside for right now. Kind of technical ones, I guess. Your little bits and bobs. Like this. Right. That almost 6 of these picnic bits. All right. I feel like a lot of Lego construction is a lot of play it by eye. Now I need all 6 of these little doodads. These go on these parts. Yeah. Star Wars is one of those movies that I just grew up with, loved as a kid, got made fun of a lot for liking as a kid. And then it got popular. And I was like, cool. Now everyone can enjoy Star Wars with me and not have to be like, yeah, no, I think it's a nerd thing. That's just kind of a silly thing. Like, imagine liking something and feeling ashamed of liking it. The boppers. Oh, I hate that. They want me to put these two together like that. One there. Okay. Now, use the rest of these pieces. These two here. Like, if anyone ever tries to make you ashamed of the things that you like, especially if it's just you liking something that's not hurting no one, who cares? Like, I've got some friends who are really into the current Call of Duty games. Not because they're super into Call of Duty, but because of the fan shipping that's happening between the various characters in the games. And, like, heck yeah. I did not expect, you know, Call of Duty to become a source for a lot of fan adult oriented content. But I'm not saying no. That sounds like a fun time for a lot of folks. All right. Now they want to go. This part goes Star Wars. This is the Force is strong with this one. Darth Vader. Probably. All right. Well, that's bag one. Here's bag two. This is going fairly quick. But knowing me, I'll go off on some sort of tangent and be here another hour or two after, like it was the last time I did makers and crafting. I don't remember the exact phrase that Great Daikuku 381 says, but it's something along the lines of Gunpla and crafting streams are really just kind of just chatting streams with I don't remember the exact term that they use, but it's similar along like visual stimming or something. I don't know. But they're not wrong. Like, there's a lot of stuff with it's where like I'm just rambling, talking, and going on, and just building stuff. So I need two of these. Those. Well, I'm just gonna have to open up all the bags, aren't I? Okay. Alright. I see how it is. I can already tell this one's gonna take me a little bit longer than the first one. Lots of little bits and bobs here. Lots of tiny bits. That was gonna happen sooner or later. But yeah, just chatting or ASMR or combinations thereof with a little bit of extra stuff thrown in. Come in. Okay, potato. Gremlin isn't gonna jump all over you. Hopefully. That one might be a lie. Okay, let's see here. May have made my life harder. Looking for the exact right pieces. Or I might just exactly what to look for. Is that so? Or what you're complaining about? What are you complaining about? You just went out, just ate, just drank, just been playing with your sister. I can't cuddle with you at the moment, I'm afraid, but you can come over and get some pets if you want. Come on. Come on. Okay, the steel lights aren't gonna bite you, baby. This dog, 75 pounds, tongue and muscle, and is the biggest scaredy cat dog I have ever met. Yeah, you are. You're a big baby. You're a big sweet baby. We love you. But you're a big baby. Hear that? Do you hear that, chat? Do you hear how badly this poor puppy has been denied just everything? He has never known love. He has never known food. He has never played or gone on a walk his entire life. Okay, I only need one of those. All right. All right. So we need to put this here. That there. There. Oh, this is the first. No idea what they're doing with this, but we're going to find out. Okay. Yeah, once I get the pieces found, like putting them together is pretty straightforward. It's a matter of finding the pieces that is the difficult part. Well, finding and like picking up, because these things are small. There, tiny. One of those. One of these. Hey, hold on. Not one of those. These. Not this one. That one. Okay. And a simple. I know these have names, right? Like, there's names for like most of these bricks. Oh, I put that in wrong. Talking about how it's so easy to put these in, and I go and do it in the wrong order. Make life harder for myself in the process. Oh, goodness. The chocolate puzzle. Infinite chocolate puzzle. Come back to taunt me. Oh, boy. I remember looking at that one and like slowing it down to find the problem with it, because obviously there's no way you can get infinite chocolate from a chocolate bar. You can't just make something from nothing. It had to be some kind of optical illusion, some kind of weird nonsense. And I remember slowing down, seeing that point where the one little bit just grew. It's very clever. Like, as far as visual pranks on the internet go, that was a pretty good one. Okay, now check this out. This is getting called at some point. This is identical to like a Lego head, but it's gray with nothing on it. I wonder if that's supposed to be like a skull in other sets or something. I don't know. Like, it's an interesting bit and bob. Also, it'd be horrifying to see that put in as like, oh yeah, by the way, just replace this part with our Lego head from a minifig. See what happens. Speaking of companies that do just tremendous engineering on their products, plastic. Lego, man. Like, yeah, it's studs and everything, and oh, okay. Like, where's that one bit supposed to go? And it's like right there. Okay, well, oh look, color coded. That was easy. Think this is what they want? I have to tell sometimes. Hmm. That's interesting. Now, one of these days, they got a website. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's not official Lego. Someone came up with a website. You can create Lego models in 3D on the website, and you can just it'll tell you what you need to buy from the Lego store to actually build the model. And actually, it might be official Lego because I think they hold contests every so often to see like what's going to be a new official minifig or something, which is kind of cool. There's some different schools of thought about that at times, but overall, I don't see a particular issue with it as long as everyone knows what they're getting into off the bat. But you just create something cool, right? And it could become an official Lego minifig, but you also can just there we go. You can just create something neat and give people the instructions, and then they can buy the individual pieces from the Lego store at some kind of a premium, I'm sure. And Blammo Zammo, you've got an official-ish minifig. And there's something to be said about that because that is kind of cool. But like, I'm wondering if I could recreate the Ogre Hall in Lego minifig form. That'd be pretty cool because then I could, like, I wouldn't be selling the set, obviously. Like, I couldn't sell it, right? But I could give people instructions on how to get it and build it from the Lego store, right? So they could have a minifig, and I could have a minifig of, well, not, a Lego figurine of the Ogre Hall, which would be pretty cool. Let's jump ahead here. All right, we've got first off, let's lay down the guides. Somehow, and I don't know how this happened, but I have some ideas. On YouTube Shorts, I got sent down the rabbit hole of the Lego minifig master builder thing, where they're like talking about how to become a master builder for Lego, you have to be able to build a ball like out of Lego from scratch that they drop, breaks apart, and they tell you do it again, better this time. Grab that piece. Okay. And they go into the details of all like the weird little things with regards to Lego and building and all that, and maintaining. Because you get these big Lego figures. Run, I swear to gosh. Uh, but you get all these big Lego figures that are outside, like the Lego store or during like big events or whatever, that are like life size, 5 or 6 feet tall, huge, gigantic, massive. And what do you do with them? Okay, got to. And they're like, yeah, so it turns out you got to clean those things. And it's really hard to clean Lego. Like, really hard to clean Lego. Which I believe, because I mean, look at this stuff. Look at how detailed this all is right here. Think about getting the dust that gets in between those cracks right along here. How ridiculous would that be, right? I mean, we're talking absolutely tiny, minuscule levels of dust. And if you try to like use canned air, so to come in and go, it's just not going to get all of it out. And a lot of these things, because they are being put together in the ways that they are glued together because they're outside, and that can also affect the color composition of the plastics because they're being exposed to bright UV light from the sun. And what does that mean for the purposes of keeping it clean, keeping it looking good? And they talk about how they've got these compounds they put on them to soak up the UV radiation so that the individual bits don't get destroyed. And they've got to go in and do air blasting and all this other stuff, like this huge list of things they have to do to keep this giant 6 feet of plastic from going out of control. Okay, here's one. Finding these things is very challenging. Two of these round cap. Two of these. Okay, didn't make it off the table. We're good. Everything's fine. Nothing is wrong. Never punished. Assume. Oh, there it is. Okay. I need one of these little dots. One of these little dots. All right. But it's interesting because you don't think about that stuff often. I mean, when you're building Legos as a kid, you don't, you know, care about. Okay, I need you to see the level of silliness that this set of instructions is, because you got to figure out where this little dot bit goes. And it's like, okay, where's the little dot bit goes? It goes here, right? But if you weren't looking for where the dot bit goes, it'd be hard to see because, like, okay, sure. Oh, now we're getting into some weird stuff. All right. Another weird little Technic bit. At least Technic bits. I have no idea if they're actually part of the Technic sets, or if Technic sets are even still a thing these days, or as I remember them. So, as I get this bit, that looks like it's from an astromech. Tell me that's not an astromech droid head right there. Tell me that's not an astromech droid head. Because that is an R4 head, or yeah, R4, I think. I've. It's been so long since I've actually taken a look at that stuff. I've forgotten which of the R series are which. I remember R2D2. He's right there. That's pretty straightforward. But the rest of that, Who knows? All right. So I need that bit, this bit, that bit. All right. This is getting weird. This goes in like that. And like that. This bit goes in like this. And that little dot bit goes on like that. Head part. And another little dot cap here. And that looks almost like a person. Let's put it on like this. Like that looks kind of like a dude, right? Like I'm not alone on this. I don't I don't know what this is all about. Strange stuff, let me tell you. I don't know what they're getting at here. All right. This bit finally, that bit, one of these, those, that one, this one, that one, and this little doodad. That's 8 bits or so, right? Yeah, that's 8 bits. What? Okay, take this, put that on it. Take this bit, put that on it. That's the most random instruction right there. Like that, you put this bit together and then that's down, and like, where's the like? What's the logic behind all that? This, that, that, and this. This goes like so. Wondering, is that the thermal exhaust port here? What that's supposed to be? If I thought about it, I would have brought out some of my little miniature X-Wings and TIE fighters from the X-Wing game. Miss playing that. Maybe I'll play Squadrons at some point on stream. That'd be fun. Literally just random bits. So I found out, actually fairly recently, that the like weird tech things that exist on sci-fi structures and starships that you don't know what they do, they just look cool, are called greebles, which is just such a great word. Greebles. Like, it's better than Doodads by far. It's so much better than, like, Bits. I mean, Bits is fine, don't get me wrong. But Greebles? Greebles is just, it's iconic. Like, okay, yeah, so this is supposed to It's like, what does it mean? You don't know until you ask. Figure it out. All right. Symmetrical. Oh, get that. Putting this together. What does it do? This is just structure for this part that comes next. Am I getting it 100% on straight? Probably not, but that's okay. Doesn't matter. Put this down. Actually, wait, put it down like this. Ah, all right, okay. Ah, the greebles came off. One day I will upgrade my camera so that everybody can see these instructions as well as I can. And if right now you can't see what the end result is. All right. Easily fixed. All right. Our first, well, second missed plate of the night. This one is a real challenge to get off because there is no top parts for this connection attached underneath like so. And oh, look at that! I'm amazing. I'm glad they include this tool in the kit because I would be in a lot of trouble without it. Let me tell you. This one goes in here. That's yeah. I do not understand because like that was 3 pieces. The previous one was over twice that. It was 7 pieces. Like, what's the deciding factor here? How does this get determined of what's each step? There's got to be something. Like I don't believe for a second Lego doesn't have a process, right? Like it's got to have something. Without a question in my mind, it's got to have something. But yeah, the but yeah, the process I don't understand. Like what's the logic? All right. There. And when Stormcloud alone, please. Every time it's, but you're my friend. I love you. I want to play with you. Stormcloud's just like, nope, not dealing with this stuff tonight. And they do love each other. It's just puppy versus cat. There is a difference in how they want to experience each other. Stormcloud is just like, I would like to be not left alone, but like, I just want to have relaxing time and be left in peace. And Rema is like, I want to play. What you like? And now Gremlin is looking down the hallway, trying to see. Okay, something's weird here. Because I got all these bits left. I got all those bits left. I don't see them on here anywhere. Those supposed to be extra bits? I feel like I would have noticed if there were. Oh. Everything looks like it's in place. Okay, that's a little weird. We're going to put these bits into the box. Come back to them later. If I can't find a piece, I will go back to the box and be okay. It's asking me now to open up bag number 3. I don't want to keep bags that are... I don't want to cross-contaminate these bags. Because I feel like I'll get very confused as to what parts are left. Hmm. Here, we'll do some proto ASMR. How's that, folks? Hang on, let me empty this bag out, and we'll do some proto ASMR. I'll do bag crinkles. Is that doing it for everybody? The bag crinkle ASMR. Is that too loud? Not loud enough? It's hard for me to tell. Hopefully you're enjoying this. The first Proto ASMR brought to you by no sponsor, but by the fact that I'm currently putting together a Lego kit. Enjoy. A lot of weird parts now. Got a lot of weird parts. I don't know what these all are. All right. Oh, hold up. What I think it is? Maybe? Oh, okay. Fine. This goes like that. All right. That's pretty cool. I thought that was actually going to turn into a turbo laser tower for a second, but we're a little low on the build for that. And this one, okay, yeah, this one's two parts. Like, what even is this? That one was two parts. This one is 8. No, okay, 7. Sorry. Earth. Oh, okay. Now we're gonna get to the confusing parts because, like, look at this. Initially, they look similar. No, they are not. Goodness gracious, that's new. The horizontal, huh? It goes like that. Okay, all right. I see what they were going for here. That looks pretty neat. Huh. Ah. Ugh. Ooh, all right. I thought that might have been an antenna, but no, it's another little greeble. I mean, these are all greebles, but still. Greeble, gravel, ruble. Huh. And this is another new piece. I've never seen a piece like this before in my life. All right. It wants that piece down there. These two like this. Stairway. We're building a stairway to heaven. And another step that is just two pieces. Just two pieces. That's all it is. Okay, here's one. Pattern recognition. I'm gonna laugh if somebody's watching me do this, and turns out like they're catching like all the pieces before I see them. Like, no, no, it's right there. What are you doing? You missed it, you fool! One of the funniest bits I ever saw of Gilbert Gottfried was just Gilbert Gottfried on Hollywood Squares, where like the entire point of it was celebrities will either tell you the truth or lie to you, and you got to choose whether you believe them or you don't believe. And Gilbert Gottfried, I don't remember the exact whole thing. Who is this? Okay, well, that's easily solved. I don't know if he kept lying to him the entire time or if he like switched between lying to him and telling him the truth. But he would keep they would keep choosing the wrong thing, and he kept screaming, "You fool!" in his voice. You know, that very Gilbert Gottfried voice. And it was the funniest thing because they kept just making mistake over and over and over. Okay, Grandma, get down. You're not supposed to get up on there anyway. Yes, and you two, you're very sweet. No, you want to say hello to your sister when Stormcloud gets up onto the desk. Stormcloud is allowed to get onto the desk. Stormcloud knows how to behave, and also is a cat. Very hard to keep cats off. A little easier to keep puppies off of. So goodness knows you try. Oh boy, do you try. Like, I can get up on that. No, he'd rather you didn't. And this one down like that. Putting the there in. So, this little quasi lightsaber handle thing. That. And that. Oh, wait, hold on. Just a step. That goes. These Grievous are going to kill me. Alright. Those. Another one of these. This part. Put it in there kind of a strange way. And then 3 of these bad boys. A little single stud reverse piece. This. That. And this. And then I missed a stud. It. That one. That on top. That on top. Then goes here. All right. I'm willing to see what they're cooking here because I have no idea what they could be up to. Like a part of me wants to like open up my copy of the old original movie and be like, okay, is this actually in there? Is this like did they copy it down or did they just kind of go for the vibe? It's like I'm. Did I pick it up for this? You know what? I don't know anymore. Doesn't matter. Like I'm 100% down if they're just here for the vibe. Because like I'm gonna be honest, I don't expect Lego to build a diorama that is literally like piece for piece the actual movie set that they put together, miniature set. Because just it's wild. Like how could you possibly do that? And then someone will be like, "Oh yeah, well here's how they did it," and I'll be like, "Oh, well, okay, cool." Because, like, there's pictures of this stuff that's out there. I mean, people, it amazes me what people do for, like, recreating Star Wars stuff. Because they'll, like, look at the props and go, oh, that's how they made this prop. I know what part that is. That lightsaber that Luke has, that has part of a specific flash bulb handle for a specific camera made a specific year, and that's the kind of machine. Like, I'm sure that nobody who has ever, like, actually sat down and, like, knows Star Wars is surprised by this. This is not news for a lot of Star Wars fans. But, like, the Graflex whatever model camera flash bulb handle, the handle for it, just the handle that you would hold the flash bulb with. That's, and the people buy that stuff out to make replicas because they want to go, oh, I want to have a replica for this thing. I want to have a replica of the Star Wars lightsaber that Luke uses in X movie because he changes the one that he uses from movie to movie. And out loud. All right, we did it again, folks. See if my fingies can do it. Nope. Okay, a little bit of leverage. Nope, 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 that's not going to do it. All right, I don't want to use hard metal on this. I can avoid it. So, oh, wait, I got this little piece here. This will do the trick, right? Yeah, okay, there we go. That got it out far enough that my fingies can get the rest. I can pop out that piece. It's supposed to be in backwards. No, backwards for me, I suppose. Supposed to go in there-ish? Okay. Again, I'm going to just have to see what they're cooking. I will say this has been fairly forgiving so far. I've only made about a handful of mistakes, and it's let me get out of them pretty easily with that tool. I was worried there on that last one I'd have to get something else. But yeah, they'll like go and find out like what guns were used to make the prop blasters and such. So they'll know that like Han Solo's blaster was made from this gun and the Stormtrooper blasters were made from another gun. And like use those to like destroy the gun, which, you know, historical pieces maybe, but whatever. Like, and turn it into the toy. I'm like, now, on the upside, you've got all these, like, you've got the ability to just, and down on the floor. Oh, hey, landed right by my foot somehow. By going down the back of the desk, came back around. Awesome. Put that there. And then put this here like that. And then this gets done twice. But like, how do you build the starships? I don't know. Someone does. Like, just because I don't know doesn't mean like the knowledge is not there. It's just I don't. But it's interesting because like people will actually sit down and figure this stuff out, like what parts were available. Because a lot of times these parts get made by these props departments with just kind of like whatever's on hand, right? Like, I saw this really great video a while back. Hey, Fen, how's Legos cooking? They're doing pretty well. Sorry, I got caught up in putting all these bits together because it's very I got to figure out what all these bits and bobs do. I was just rambling on about various Star Wars related things. Well, in this case, prop making related things because it was like, how do you make the starship props? How do you make the robots? And like today, it's like super easy. You can just like go in, get a 3D printer, print whatever weird shape or object you need. Problem solved. But back in the day, you needed to get like actual weird stuff together. I was mentioning that like one of the lightsabers has a part to it that's literally just so old school photography. So old school photography, old school cameras had flash bulbs that you would hold for like the right angle and direction of the lighting and everything, and they would go off at a certain time, and you'd have handles for them, or sometimes they'd be like connected to the cameras. And so the old original lightsaber that like Luke Skywalker used was it had something a Graflex brand flash bulb handle was what was used as the base for the lightsaber. And it's just like, who would know that? Who could possibly know that? Nobody. Nobody would know that off the top of their heads, unless they were like big into photography at the time. Which shocker. People who were into Star Wars were into photography. There's a surprising statement for everyone. But yeah, it's like all those weird parts, and I mentioned earlier, like so all these bits and bobs that I'm putting together here. No idea what they're supposed to do in terms of like the starship or the Death Star. This is a diorama of the Death Star trench run, what we're building, and uh, all these bits and bobs that like look cool and technical and like something's happening there. They're called greebles. That's like their technical name for it. I don't know when it got made the technical name for it, but it apparently did at some point. And I think it's a great word, like greebles. Fantastic word. Couldn't ask for a better one. Because these little greebles and bits and pieces, just yeah, like you expect greeble to be used for like some kind of like weird like fantasy race from D&D where they're like running around like it's the greebles. They take little things you don't notice from your backpack or something. I don't know. Technically, that's Kender, I suppose, but that's a whole other discussion. But yeah, but no, it's going great. I'm on like bag 3 of 6. There's only a couple of extra pieces so far. I swear I didn't miss anything. I'm fairly certain. But yeah, it's but yeah, like people will hunt down like the original guns that were used because they use real guns as models. Like they use real guns for the props they used for this for Star Wars, and like deactivated them, made them so they weren't actually guns anymore. But like soldered other extra little bits on them, glued pieces on so they looked sci-fi and mysterious. And people would find out what kind of guns they were and buy up those guns and then destroy them in the process of turning them into the replicas of the props. And it's like fun little weird things of history like that because people will go and do that. And so like the Graflex camera thing, everyone was like, well, if you're a photographer and you needed that bit, tough. It's gone now. No, you can't find it for love or money. Because everyone and their mother grabbed them and turned them into Luke Skywalker's lightsaber from the movie. And that's just kind of the stuff that happens. But yeah, as far as Star Wars goes, like I was raised on Star Wars. In the same way I was raised on Star Trek. Like I love all the old classic sci-fi. And it's one of those things where like when I was younger, right? It was a nerd thing to like Star Wars. If you liked Star Wars when I was younger, you were ostracized, literally ostracized for liking Star Wars. And the thing is that really everybody likes Star Wars, right? And I guess like part of it was just like, oh, you like Star Wars, well, congratulations, that doesn't make you special. But on the other hand, it's like, no, but I really like Star Wars for a bunch of different reasons. I'm like, it's a kids movie, it's not that deep, get over it. I'm like, yeah, okay, it's a movie, it's a very silly movie, but there's deeper meaning you can assign to it and that can be assigned to it and that actively also exists in the movie because George Lucas is a weirdo, but he's not wrong about a couple of different things. He's just you know well, he shouldn't be allowed to name things to start with, but like then there's other stuff like, okay, this scene, Death Star trench run, the final battle in the first movie almost didn't make it on a number of levels because there were budget problems and all kinds of stuff. And George, he's not the best director, but he does really well when he's told no and has to kind of like go back and go, okay, well, they said no, but what can I do? Like, what options do I have? So, what ends up happening is the final fight with Death Star, Trench Run, and everything. You've got this big battle in space. Everyone's going pew pew with their laser guns and all that. The original cut, that scene, was something like 20 or 30 minutes long. Just so long. Such a long scene. Why? Couldn't tell you. But it dragged. Like Luke got 2 runs at the Death Star trench. 2 runs. How, like, that would have killed all the tension. So, the person who came in and saved that scene was the editor. The movie, who at that time happened to be George Lucas's wife. And if not for her, I don't know. But if not for her, the whole thing would have been just boring, bland, not interesting. She saved the movie in a number of ways. It's also one of my favorite lines, and I don't know if this is apocrypha or not, but uh, Harrison Ford classically just was fed up with the script that George Lucas was writing. And he was famously quoted as saying, "George, you can write this shit, but you sure as hell can't say it." Because it was awkward and stilted and all that. And like when you see the prequels and you see like the love story between Anakin and Amidala, it's like, yeah, not the greatest bit of dialogue there, George. Honestly, not the worst because, yeah, but we found out later, always have worse, always. But yeah, but no, like so. I was saying earlier, like this is a special kit for me because I love that scene, and it's often imitated. Like if you ever play an Ace Combat game, they will have a trench runs action sequence somewhere in the Ace Combat. It is almost like contractually required of them to do so, and I love it because it means I get to play the Death Star trench run. Because like there was an old Star Wars game called X-Wing, very original title, for the PC back in the day. I mean, old school, and it was like the first real attempt to bring to the computer the experience of flying an X-wing fighter in space by LucasArts. There'd been other space games at the time because you had like Wing Commander and the like, but this was actually being done by the company that George Lucas owns, had the full rights to Star Wars, and had at the time this really amazing technology where the music would dynamically change, the MIDI music, because this was, back in the day, would dynamically change based on what was happening in the sequence, in the game. And the idea of having like a soundtrack that could dynamically change and flow, like it didn't just like start a new track and the old track kind of stuff. Like it led one into the other effectively. A bit hard to describe, but um, yeah, it was really just interesting, and uh, they had like a mission that was the Death Star trench run, and one of the weird things about it, because this was back in the days of like Doom and everything, where like it was 3.5D, where some things were 3D, some things were 2D, because computers were not able to do 3D terribly well yet. And they had this thing where the difficulty of the trench run was based on, of all things, your graphics quality. So, like, you would be upping your graphics quality, and then suddenly the Death Star Trench had more, like, stuff in it. Hey, Tummy, how's it going? Welcome on in. And yeah, plastic. Putting together some weird little Reevils here. Okay, yeah. What's that supposed to be? I don't know. We'll find out. They're cooking. Wait. Name? Oh, God. What the hell is this? Okay. That. No, not that piece. Piece? Piece? Goes on like that? Okay. Guessing. But yeah, so, and it was the first time I'd ever had a chance to play the Death Star Trench Run in a video game. And kind of the last time, too. Because for whatever reason, in the subsequent games that LucasArts and others did that had starships in it, uh, it, I, I hope not. I mean, I might accidentally inhale one of these things because look how tiny they are. Here, but like it was wild because like back in the day, that was the first time you could really do that. And like there was an old arcade game that had like vector graphics that could do that, where you going down the Death Star Trench Run, you'd sit down, and it was like weird Tron like graphics. But yeah, I couldn't get that cabinet in my house for whatever reason. My parents were like, "No, you can't have that." Like imagine being told, "No, you can't have this hideously expensive arcade machine in your house." Gosh, how could they? But yeah, so like they're cooking. They're cooking. Someone's cooking something. I don't know what's being cooked. My brain, possibly. Ah. But every subsequent game didn't have it. And I was very upset about that because I wanted to just play it again. But with better graphics and better gameplay. And like the worst part was when Battlefront 1 came out from EA. And EA got the license to do all the Star Wars games and just tell everyone to pound sand. EA was like, okay, Battlefront 1, very kind of thin game overall. Not the original Battlefront, but the EA one. Didn't have a lot going for it. So, like, all right, they're doing their thing. And they say, okay, we're going to do the Death Star Trench Run DLC. And I was like so excited. Because, like, the space combat in that game was like, it was okay. It wasn't great. But I'm like, all right, it's fine. It's fine. I can live with this. They come out with it. And I lost my damn mind. Because, so in order to actually get to the Death Star Trench Run, it was set up in like this tiered mission setup where you had to defeat. So it was a 3 mission like campaign that you had to do in online multiplayer. All fucking things. I'm gonna curse a bit now, so I'm giving you all warning to cover your ears, Gramp. Peepaw's about to get angry. You had to complete. You had to complete. It was 3 missions, and you had to, as the rebels, defeat the Empire in a multiplayer match on 2 separate maps to have the chance, the fucking chance to play the third map. And the two maps you were playing on were ground maps. So you're doing ground combat, which was not the space combat I wanted, before you got a chance to do the third map, which was the fucking Death Star Trench Run. And so only after playing like half an hour do you get the fucking chance to play the Death Star Trench Run. And then either it was over in 30 seconds because somebody had figured out the way to cheese the map so that they could just fucking win as the rebels, and then it's over, it's done. Nobody gets to have any fun anymore because someone decided they had to try and ruin it for everyone, because that's what you did in multiplayer games in that era. And then that was it. And it took me so long to figure out, like, in order to learn how to be good at a map, you have to play it. So you have to do the half-hour build-up with the other two maps to get to that map, and then you got to dick around on that map in a way that everyone gets to figure out what the hell is going on. And yeah, because it was around the same time that, like, Titanfall 1 came out. And Titanfall 1, like, I love Titanfall 2. I adore Titanfall 2. BT is the greatest. But Titanfall 1, I didn't appreciate because the campaign was completely multiplayer. You had to play through one campaign, which meant you were playing every single multiplayer map in order on one team, and then you had to play it through on the other team. You couldn't reverse them, by the way, which was why it was so frustrating. I ended up actually completing that, but I did, and like the gameplay for Titanfall has always been fun. But gosh, god damn, I was so fucking irritating. Ah. So yeah, and then Star Wars Squadrons came out, which, by the way, I love Star Wars Squadrons. Fantastic. Really in the spirit of the old X-Wing games, but what I liked about it was that it was like, okay, we're gonna stay true to the kind of the spirit of it, but we're gonna do our own thing. We're gonna balance things how we want and tell our own story. And the campaign was short but sweet. It was solid, no problem with it. And the multiplayer, while limited in its scope, was really good. It even had some good post-game release patching for it, where they like put out 2 new fighters and everyone had a good time. And then they were like, yeah, we're moving on. We got the chance to do that because Battlefront 2 had done well enough and people liked the space game stuff. So EA was like, yeah, okay, the group that did the space game stuff for Battlefront 2, we'll let them do a single video game. And then we're going to have them do other things. And then they did, the same studio that did Squadrons is, I believe, the one that did the remake for Dead Space, which I've heard is very good. And I really liked the original Dead Space. And I heard that the sequel was just okay. So here we are again. I haven't, as far as I know, missed any steps, but I got all these extra bits again. That's like 6 extra pieces right there. I don't know if that's on purpose, because these are the parts that maybe get the most lost or whatever. They're going in there. All right. Bag 4. All right, everyone, get ready. Okay, so they do. All right, I've seriously not built a Lego kit in like forever. And this kit, by the way, is 665 pieces according to the internal, according to the box. 665, which I feel was done on purpose for a reason, so they didn't get in trouble with certain people. What do you mean there's 600? Oh, there goes that dice again. Up there. Right now. It'll be fine. Everything's fine. Smile. But yeah. Folks, you're going to get ready for round 2 of Proto ASMR. Because these bags got some good crinkle to them. Alright, here we go. Apologize if this is too loud, but
relaxing. We're having a good time. Meatball is swearing, but that's just fine. The crinkles and the voice, the plastic and sound just make it all the much better for this to go
down. You okay there, Tommy? You all right? You good? Oh, goodness gracious. Oh, okay. I need you to see this step. All right. Step 71. That's step 71. Look at that. I don't know if I can keep up with this. This is just too much. Okay, step 71. Boom. Step 72. Oh no. Like, I genuinely do not understand what these steps are. It's like, okay, 71, 72, 73, all one piece per step. Step 74, 4 more pieces. There's got to be logic to it. Like, someone's going to explain to me at some point, like, oh yeah, this is what Lego is doing when they're doing that. I'm going to be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But right now, I am confused. To use the internet lingo of back in the day, I'm confuzzled, even. Okay, wait, did I grab the right one this time? Okay, they're all the same. Yeah, right? That's an old one going back in the day. Oh, okay. Oh, I think all right. I see what's going on here. I pick up what you're putting down. But yeah, I was mentioning also earlier, like somehow I ended up on not the TikTok of, but like the YouTube shorts of the Lego Master Builder guy, who's like, here's what it takes to be a Lego Master Builder. He talks about like all these weird like little things. I thought that was just a weird piece. And like how you got to build the sphere out of Legos, and they drop it on the floor, and they're like, okay, it broke, fix it. But you have to build it like completely from your brain. You can't have any extra steps or hints or tools. You can't take anything apart. They show you a sphere, and they're like, recreate it. You did it wrong. Build it better. And like all these like weird little. Like, I didn't even know that was a job, to be honest. Like it's just each range corresponds to how many pieces are in a. I can't flip it over because the bits are in there. Okay, this one says 18 plus. I don't know what to tell you on that one. I guess just some steps are like more complicated than others just by nature, I suppose. But correctly. Get the pieces out first and then put them on. What are the rules of nature for Lego? Just the original song, or is there like extra bits that I should know about? Yeah, if I could, yeah, like Disney Imagineer is like one of those things. Like you want to put together weird stuff, he got you. That's the wrong side. I'm putting them on the wrong side. I am stellar today. All right. So fun story. How many of you are from? How many of you are familiar with Cyberpunk 2077 and Cyberpunk Red. Okay, so Cyberpunk is originally a tabletop RPG created by Mike Pondsmith, who, great guy, has a really deep voice. Fantastic dude. Met him a couple times at conventions. He is the creator of the game, and he like puts everything together. Oh, yeah, landed on the chair. Everything's fine. So the original game, I think, was called Cyberpunk 2017. Second edition was called Cyberpunk 2020. And there were some subsequent games like Cyber Generation and a few others, and he created this whole product line of RPGs, including the Bubblegum Crisis tabletop RPG, which I actually have the book of, Mechton System and Mechton Zeta. Actually, I don't. Mechton Zero was the one that was kickstarted and kind of put on hold recently, which was a great. Mechton was a great, like, especially for the day, giant robot game. And so this bit, and Cyberpunk was kind of at the center of all of it. So the original Cyberpunk game was really good. I loved playing it back in the day, and it was fantastic. Between when Cyberpunk 2020 came out and Cyberpunk Red came out, another edition came out, which is less well known, called Cyberpunk version 3. And so it's interesting because, like, I know the meta plot of Cyberpunk 2020 pretty well because I used to play it a lot back in the day. And so, like, when I was playing Cyberpunk 2077, I was like, oh, hey, I know that character. I know that event. That's cool. I won't go into too many spoilers because, like, if you want to play the game Cyberpunk 2077, I don't want to spoil you on it. But there were a lot of cool things that were happening. And one of the things that happened was, in the meta plot, something called the Fourth Corporate War, which ended with a nuke going off in the corporate plaza of Arasaka Tower. And a whole bunch of stuff involved. And what's interesting is the game itself, the video game, changes the meta plot ever so slightly based on what actually happened in the RPG. But general flow is still the same. And so what ends up happening is version 3 of the setting takes place after the nuke goes off, just like in 2077. But what happens in the setting is vastly different. So we're going to diverge the timeline here. Instead of Night City getting rebuilt the way that it does in Cyberpunk Red and Cyberpunk 2077, which are both like in the same timeline, instead what happens is somebody comes up with this weird nanotech to send into the crater of Night City and rebuild it and clean things up from there without having to risk people, which on the face of it sounds like a good idea. But they failed to take into account one tiny little insignificant, barely important detail, which is that nanotechnology, because it is so very, very small, is very hard to shield from radiation because it's so small. And so when you have these small little nanobots running around and a piece of ionizing radiation hits them, and suddenly it's like, oh, hey, yeah, this whole thing you were doing, this program you had, it's now different. It's now separate from what it was. And that now means that what you had was a bot that would just say, oh, yeah, we're just going to rebuild Night City. Cool. Now, that bot says, right, Night City now runs from Oregon down to Tijuana as one gigantic, sprawling megapolis. And we're going to constantly rebuild and destroy it and rebuild and destroy it over and over and over again because that's what we can do. Hee hee. And it got real anime real fast. And one of the factions that you could play as, like one of the character types, backgrounds that you could have, was the Des Nine. The Des Nine. Just roll with that for a second. And the special thing that Des Nine had is that they could have robotic familiars, basically, that would do things for them. Yeah, it's all the people from Disneyland in California with cyberpunk. With cyberpunk fucking animatronics. Imagine you could play an Imagineer in cyberpunk. It was really cool. It was really cool. Like I actually genuinely like the version 3 setting. It's a very different style of game. Like you're going into it with different expectations than like Cyberpunk 2020 and Cyberpunk Red, but it was genuinely a lot of fun. The fact that one of the factions was just feral Imagineers was just, it was great. It was fantastic. I loved it. How could you not like the idea of, okay, Imagineers, but feral and cyberpunk? I mean, come on. Great concept. And like, don't get me wrong, I love Cyberpunk Red and I love Cyberpunk 2077 now that they kind of, got everything going correctly on it. And just the style they got, especially in like Edge Runners. Edge Runners I thought was fantastic. Perfect. No notes. Like, I know some people who were like, "Oh, but the Sindevison doesn't do that in the game," or like in like the tabletop game because it's a whole different ball game there. But like, it's absolutely what it does in the computer game. So yeah, fine. Who cares if it's slightly different? Come up with all kinds of reasons why that is. And that always got me about like fans are like, "Oh, this isn't how it works." Like sometimes, like if it's like against like the very like foundation and structure of things. Like I can see that argument from time to time, but a lot of times it was like, oh, that's not how it works. Like it's not how it works like in your head for that one thing, but it's fine if it's a little different because the vibe is being the same. It's like with the Star Wars Visions shorts, like that one from Studio Trigger where like they got the kid riding on the outside of the flip. Yeah, he's got away. Okay, we got the first rogue piece of the night. Hold on. Oh, go. Where did got him. Dark gray against a black rug. Stood out just enough. Like, yeah, that's the trigger one where the kid's sitting outside of his X-Wing with a lightsaber that cuts a freaking. It's stuck to my finger. Cuts a Death. Not Death Star Destroyer in half. Like, is it silly? Yeah. Is it cool? Absolutely. Who cares? Like, nobody is saying, like, this is canon. It actually happened. Luke Skywalker did this. Like, no, it's just here's Studio Trigger doing some weird Star Wars stuff. Who doesn't want to see that on occasion? Because like, if you told me, okay, we're gonna get a cool animation studio to put together, like, if you told me, the guy did Cowboy Bebop and like, um, Samurai Champloo was gonna do a Star Wars short, I'd be like, fuck yeah, are you kidding me? I don't even care if like they just basically throw Spike Spiegel into the Star Wars universe and just go with that. Like that'd be fucking cool. That'd be really awesome. Why wouldn't you want to see that? Okay. I see. All right. But yeah, just like you're allowed to have fun with things. Shock. imagine if you could never have fun with things ever again, how boring that would be. Because, like, what's Star Wars but a whole healthy dose of literally, like, old movie serials from, like, the 1930s and 40s mixed with samurai movies by Akira Kurosawa. Like, come on. And yeah, exactly. If cringe bike, then why cool? I was talking about earlier, like, I got made fun of a lot for liking Star Wars when I was younger. And, like, I don't want to lie, I was probably pretty cringe about it, but I don't fucking care. Be cringe about things that you love. Great. Good time. Like, there's certain degrees where I'm like, okay, you maybe want to take it down a notch. Like, that whole discussion that was had, I don't remember where, the other day about bronies, but, like, take that down a notch. I think it was with Ben. Yeah, I think that sounds right. Okay, this is a fucking Lego piece I've literally never seen before, and I don't think we'll ever see again. Like, I know that they make occasional parts that are custom to kits, but, like, I can't imagine that going into any other kit ever. But, like, in that case, like, there's a whole other discussion to be had. But generally speaking, like, if everyone, like, if you're not hurting anybody, you're not being a jerk about stuff, who cares? Be a little cringe. It's fine. You can be cringe as a treat. You know? Ben wants to go on about some thing with Jar Aznable, Demon Belterchica. Yeah, go for it. Rock on. It's all the fact that, like, I describe Belterchica in, like, the most sedate terms. Like, Belterchica is kind of, like, controversial within the Gundam fandom. Not everybody likes her. See what you think. Like, 3 days later, fuck Belterchica. How dare you talk to Mirai like that? Oh, fantastic. Yeah, apparently, from what I was told, because I have a friend who's, like, super into Gundam and has been, like, walking me through various episodes and such. Like, Belterchica was really, because, like, apparently the VA for oh god, I blanked on her name, but Char's sister uh was unavailable for whatever reason during Zeta, and so they had to get somebody else to basically be in it. And so they made a whole new character rather than recast her. I don't know what that's about, but I also, like, don't care. Like, it's kind of just, they're gonna do what they're gonna do. I'm not gonna criticize them for their decisions at the time. But yeah. And she turns out to be, like, an awful person, like a really awful person. But sometimes, like, and that's the thing, like, as much as people can be feral about that, like, I always look at it as, if I'm mad at a character, that actor did a good job, and or the writer did a good job of putting that character out there. It's like, I remember when Game of Thrones came out, and, like, I literally did not watch Game of Thrones. I'm not trying to say that as, like, oh, I'm too cool for it. No, I didn't watch it. But I remember when the kid who played Joffrey, like, decided, you know what, I'm done with acting. I'm good, because people would come up to him at, like, school or in public and just be like, "Oh, you're such a jackass. You're such a jerk." It's like, he's literally playing a character. The fuck is wrong with you? Like, why would you? He is a child who is playing make believe for your entertainment. chill. I beg of you. Another piece went rogue. That's all right. I'm on top. Here. Here. All right. Ooh. Like, I do not understand how people can literally get upset at an actor for playing a character. It's just so bizarre to me. Like, I can see someone getting upset for an actor taking a part in like a movie that is like has a bad message or something, maybe. But even then, like, you don't know what you're getting into with some of these movies. Like, you can't know until they're done. That's just kind of how movie making works. Like, there have been cases where like voice actors will take a job, not know what kind of stuff they're getting into because they're only given like a part of the script, and then when they're cut up, it turns into them saying something that they would have never said normally, or don't agree with. Now it's like, is it their fault that they were tricked? No, of course not. That's weird. Like when you look at like how reality TV works, it is fucking wild to get up to in the editing. Like the stuff they can make you say, just a few edits to make you seem like the biggest fucking asshole. And like you can't tell people I didn't say that because you've usually signed a contract that says you can't tell anybody what the fuck is going on. Some of these pages are just wild to try and figure out. Doesn't help that I've currently got the thing upside down compared to the instructions. That's okay. You got this sorted. But yeah, all I want is like from the current crop of Star Wars games coming out, all I want is a game that lets me do the trench run again. My one greatest regret is that I didn't have a GameCube back in the day. Because GameCube had a Star Wars, like I think it's called Rogue Squadron or Rogue Leader, that was literally just like nearly everything I wanted in a Starfighter game. But the only problem being it ran off the GameCube controller as opposed to a nice joystick and throttle, which is my preferred setup. But it looked good. It had Death Star Trench Run, from what I understand, and it had really big capital ships to fly around. That's one of the cool things. Like when you're flying around and doing things in space, having really big starships to fly like around as a small fighter is really cool to do. Like it's just fun. It's enjoyable. One of the first games that actually did that really well was a game called Descent Free Space, which is going to shock you. It was made by the people who made the game Descent. But weirdly had nothing to do with the game Descent. Oh boy, we are running this wild construction. All right. But it was a game that had just gigantic starships that you'd fly around and have to try and fight, and it was just so cool and looked good, like so good for the time. It doesn't look that good today because computer graphics have improved just that much, but man, it looked good at the time. It looked so good. Descent, no, they dropped the Descent title in the second game, Free Space 2. Uh, just one of the best games ever made for being a space fighter game. These days, if I want to play a game like that, I got to go get me an Ace Combat game. That's really what it is, especially for the Death Star trench run stuff. Because in every Ace Combat game, there's a trench run. Like it's almost contractually required at this point. And I appreciate Ace Combat for that. Plus, Ace Combat has fantastic. Oh, oh. Like I've played so many space games, been disappointed by so many. Cooking something. And then Elite Dangerous came back. One extra piece. Elite Dangerous. Well, the Elite games came back with Elite Dangerous, and then Star Citizen happened, and I was hooked. I was brought into the web of lies and promises of Star Citizen. And I've been waiting now on 10 years, practically. I don't know if it's actually been 10 years or not now, or if it's been more. Waiting for the final game to come. I'll keep waiting. Like I'm not gonna sell the account or anything. But all right, round 5. Well, not round 5 of the ASMR, but the next round of the ASMR from the Crinkly Bits.
If it's late at night and you feel like you're going to get sleepy listening to this, then go ahead and go to sleep. It's okay. If you fall asleep on my screens, I promise, I'm alright with that. Just make sure you get some good rest.
There we go. Taking them. Can't be bullied yet. Get there soon. Hopefully that crinkling isn't too loud, by the way. Yeah. Amazing to me to see the cycle of cringe, cool, over and over again, forever. And it's like, just enjoy things. Let people enjoy things. Not that hard. If it's not something that you enjoy, that's fine. You don't have to enjoy everything that everybody else. Like, it'd be weird if you did. But if you don't like it, there's a very simple solution. Close the tab. Visit another website. Okay. I promise you. Because, yeah, like, not everything's going to be your cup of tea. If you don't like Star Wars, don't watch Star Wars. Like, I say this as a huge fan of Star Wars. I adore Star Wars. If you don't like it, don't watch it.
Like, you should probably try most things once just to see if you are going to like it. There's a lot of people who get really, really just weird about the things that they love. I'm like, you got to see this, you got to see that. And it drives people away from what you want to what you want them to experience. It's like the thing to do is you go up to somebody and they say, I haven't seen X, and something that you really love. You say, oh yeah, I really enjoyed that. I can highly recommend it, or but if you just like, you can be enthusiastic about it, but there is a line where basically if you go past, it stops being enthusiastic and you being domineering. You don't want to be domineering with that. That's what drives people away. You want to be enthusiastic. And if they enjoy seeing you enthusiastic about that, then they'll see it sooner or later. And even if it's not their thing, like they can understand it. I had a friend who had a person they were seeing, and he'd go to these conventions every so often. That's an easy fix. Aha! Never punished. But the person they were seeing wasn't big into going to conventions, but had never been to one. And so we said, hey, would you like to come to this convention with us? Check it out, see what it's like, you know, see if it's interesting. They went and they had a decent time, honestly. Like they got involved, they did things. Uh they enjoyed themselves. But ultimately it wasn't their thing. Because you can go and you can enjoy something and not have it be the greatest thing ever for you. That's fine. So like I see why you like it. They didn't want to stop their partner from going to them. The other thing I've seen happen on occasion where just some relationships get very like transactional. They're like, we're gonna go to this flower show and then you can go to your convention. And it's like, don't do that. Like I one will never understand people who feel like they have to have their partners like glued to the hip. And some people are like that, and that's fine. Like that's their thing. I don't get it. Doesn't mean it can't be something that is good, but it's not something I understand. And ultimately, like I feel that there's a certain level of you should have a certain degree of not separation from, but like your partner shouldn't be the only person you interact with in life. That makes sense. Because you need to be able to interact with other people. I think you should be good friends with your partner. I think that's a fairly benign statement to make, all things considered. But it shouldn't be just whenever you go out, you always go out together. Like you can go out and have friends other than partner. Is the point I'm trying to make, and that's okay. Encouraged even, but if your partner's never around, that's another story. If your partner's never doing stuff with you, then what's going on? But a lot of that comes down to just how people get into relationships and how different people interact with different kinds of relationships. Really, some people like going all in. Some people like just doing other stuff. Then you get into like all the different like types of polyamory that exist, which is a whole other conversation. But what it all comes down to, communication. You got to be able to talk to your partner.
I'll be able to say, this is what I want. These are my expectations. And here's what I'd like to be able to do, and here's what I'd like to do for you, and stuff like that. Once you have a decent level of communication, doesn't matter, poly relationship or monogamous relationship, that's better for everyone. Like when I was younger, the dating scene was a lot of like, oh, you have to have these assumptions and all this stuff. I'm like, well, why don't we just say, do? If I want to have a relationship with someone, why can't I just say I'd like to have a relationship? Why does it have to be this whole thing? That is the greediest greeble right here. I tell you. Wow, look at that. What does it do? Who knows? Another weird part that I've never seen before and probably never will again. Yeah, there's like talk to people. Don't just like make assumptions. Be like, oh, well, why didn't they know what I wanted? Say it. Didn't say it. Really straightforward. Like when I was young, I was really nervous to like say, "Hey, I like you. I want to start dating you," stuff like that. And then like I can still get that way today, because when you start liking someone, like there's different reactions, right? But you can get nervous. But if you get too nervous and you never do anything about it, nothing will happen. Generally speaking, the other person will not know or might think that you don't like them. So talk to them. It's scary, sure. But the first couple of times you do it, it's the most scary. It can still be scary after, but after the first few times, you kind of figure out that the worst thing they'll generally say is no. That sounds glib, I know, but truth. Like usually the worst thing they will ever say is no. There's some people who get worse who just are kind of jerks about it, but overall, that's usually the worst you have to deal with. But I'm also speaking from a slightly different perspective than a lot of people. I have particular perspectives to bring to bear on that because I don't respond to that. Like I if I get a crush and I discover that crush isn't available for whatever reason, I go, okay, I can turn the crush off. It's genuinely not that hard for me. It took me years to find out that that's not true for everyone. I was like, I don't get it. Why are you agonizing about this? You just turn the crush off. And they're like, what are you talking about? You can't turn the crush off. And then I started thinking, like, well, is it just that I'm better at emotional regulation, or is it something else? Chances are it's something else. I found out, hey, maybe I'm a little bit arrow. I almost never get crushes. I didn't really ever date throughout high school or college, like at all. So I found out, like, oh, that's not the normal thing for a lot of people. So my friends were like in and out of relationships constantly. And they were like worried for me because they were like, mean you're not in a relationship constantly? We're always in relationships. Why aren't you in a relationship? That's weird. Like, I don't know. It's fine. I don't mind it.
I had friends literally trying to set me up with their exes at various points throughout my life, which, boy, howdy, is that awkward. Like, we broke up, but I think you'd be good together. What? Like, imagine having that conversation with anybody. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird on thinking that's weird. Yeah. Like, most. So Ivy, this is actually. It's good you have no idea because it doesn't actually look like anything right now because it's all greebles. But what this is going to look like that eventually. The Death Star trench run. But yeah, it's so like the trope was in like sitcoms and all that was can't date someone's ex. That's a betrayal of friendship and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, well, okay, but I have people literally recommending their friends to me, like their exes to me, as like, oh yeah, you probably should date them. That'd be cool. That'd be fine. That'd be fun. I'm like, what's going on here? What is this? Sitcoms told me this was like not what would happen. Ah, okay. Now the part where this part gets mounted here. Oh, there we go. That's looking pretty cool. Now, you take this bit, put it here. This bit, and put it here. Okay. Yeah, I always thought it was just a little strange that they were setting me up with their exes. And like this was like a fairly like it was mostly one friend who kept doing that, but it was just a fairly common theme that they kept trying to do. It's like they're like, oh, he's not dating anybody. He must be like people would go through, oh, he's not dating anybody. He must be secretly gay. Or oh, he's not dating anyone. He must be completely miserable. And for a while, like I let that get to me. Like I thought, oh, maybe I am miserable. Maybe I should be dating somebody. Maybe I'm missing out on something. And then I realized a while back, like, oh, I'm not miserable when I'm alone. I'm not miserable single. I'm perfectly fine. I almost never get crushes on people. I almost never have romantic like urges. But that's okay. I had people telling me for years, like, oh no, that's not normal. That shouldn't be how it is. All right, well, I'll take your word for it because, whatever. But then I was like, oh, because like asexuality, aromantic tendencies, that was never something that was brought up to me when I was younger. I started reading about some of it. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not asexual as far as I can tell, in that I have a sex drive and so forth and so on. But I also don't seem to have the sex drive that other people have, with like they're constantly like needing to have sex. I'm like, that doesn't sound normal. I mean, yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like that's hey, like we ended up not working out, but I think you'd really like them. That's one option, yeah, and like that's it's kind of understandable. I'm not mad that my friends tried to hook me up with their exes. Like I don't think it was like a bad thing or done out of that was malicious or anything, but it was just kind of weird because the expectation, of course, was that you never date your friend's ex. That's a betrayal as a friend. You should never do that. All right, here we go. Last bag for the crinkles for the proto ASMR. And remember, when all is said and done, we are here just to have fun, to live our lives, to make things better for others, and not to be jerks to people for no freaking reason. All right, last time I do that. One of these days I'll set up an actual ASMR setup or something.
But yeah, like most of the time it was like, hey, I think that you'd actually get on with this person, but also I think it was more of just like, hey, we're worried about you, which I understand. Like, I yeah, appreciate it. Like, friends should be worried for each other. Friends should be looking out for each other. I feel like that's not a bad thing inherently. But like, just oh yeah, suddenly, yeah, we broke up, but you should get together with him, maybe. Like, just out of nowhere, it's like, oh, okay, that's a little weird. Not gonna lie, but but yeah, it wasn't until much later that I found out like things about Arrow Ace spec and all that kind of stuff. And like I said, and like told everyone, like I'm an old man. I should not have taken this long to figure this out, in theory, but in reality, it is what it is. Find out things when you find them out. What you gonna do about it? Oh wow, okay, this is getting wild. Yeah, so like, and if you it, very clear, when you are 100% Arrow Ace, I wasn't trying to call into question anything. When you're full Arrow Ace, like there's a slightly different perspective that ends up happening. When you're somewhere on the spectrum, but not completely, one way or the other, you question a lot of stuff. And yeah, I'm very glad that things like different relationship types and statuses are are something that people are questioning and thinking about more these days. Because like I thought for a long time, like oh yeah, I'm this way, I'm that way, and then I'm like over time, like what am I about? What am I? And it really pays to just every so often just kind of check in with yourself, see how you're doing on that respect, because it could change. Things do tend to shift over the years. Oh, oh, missed the two little stud parts. Okay, I thought something wasn't quite right. But yeah, like I'm so happy that people are starting to question stuff like that because like there's so many different like levels of these spectrums that people can be a part of and not even really think about until like they take the time to do that kind of self reflection. And it's like when someone is varying degrees of bi or pansexual. You know, are you really gay? Are you really straight? Are you faking it? Is a question that happens constantly. Same happens to someone who's demi in either Arrow or Ace. And like, well, I have attraction sometimes, or I have romantic thoughts sometimes. Is it just, you know, thing, or is it like it's ooh, oh look at that. That's cool. All right. Now we're building Darth Vader's TIE fighter. Bum 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 bum. Back to the weird little one step pieces. But yeah, I mean, it's like you check in with yourself, you do just some mental, yes, checkups and cleaning of just like your mind. Where am I at these days? What am I about? because things change, you change, new terms get introduced to you. That's wonderful. Because, like, to be realizing, like, I hear stories about, like, really old people, like, actual, because, you know, I enjoy the joke. I want to be very clear. I enjoy the joke of people calling me Peepaw, because I am technically old enough to be a grandfather, but I'm not, like, what most people would see as grandfatherly. Um, in reality, I'm just an old man. But it's a matter of these old people who are like, what do you mean? I'm not gay. Everyone thinks about David Bowie's ass. Well, Grandpa, that might be true. I'm not saying you're wrong. But you might want to think about why that is. Why is it that you like David Bowie's ass? Just think about that for a moment. You don't have to come up with a specific answer yet. That's fine. But just ponder for a moment, if you would. Wow, okay, this is getting wild. Because no, not everybody, is like going to be thinking specifically about David Bowie's ass. Though a lot of people do. There was a really great bit from a comedian who I hope, like, hasn't fallen off in a bad way, but seems to not have. From the old, so this is gonna sound bad to start with. From the old Blue Collar Comedy Tour, there's this great bit from Ron White. I always loved his delivery because his delivery was so funny. But here's the bit. He had a cousin who was homophobic. He's like, "Can you imagine how useless it is to be homophobic? Who cares? Everyone's a little bit gay." He tells his cousin this, and it's like, he goes, "I'm not gay." He goes, "Oh yeah, well, what kind of porn do you like? Do you only like women on women?" Like, "No, I like to see a man and a woman going at it as God intended." Like, all right. So when you watch that man giving, his piece to the woman, do you like to see his piece his penis be all limp and flaccid? And he's like, "No, I like big, hard rating guy." I did not know that about myself. And just that delivery. But it's true. It really is. Like, I mean, not specifically that instance, right? But like the concept is true of people aren't as straight really as they think they are in a lot of cases. And that's not like to attack people. Very clear. But on humbug. Going to check to make all the pieces are nice and tightly put together, and I pull the whole thing apart. Destroying toothbrushes again, kids. But, like, yeah, there's a fluidity to the whole thing. And, like, most of the people who were, like, super homophobic and just really, really anti-gay, there's a lot of them who were just really closeted and self-loathing, which is a shame because it doesn't have to be that way. It really doesn't. Yeah. And, like, and oh, Ben, a lot of people wish they looked the way David Bowie does, let me tell you. Like, it's not my aesthetic necessarily, because, like, wild guess as to what my aesthetic is. Wild guess. Just putting that out there. But yeah, it's just like, if you're so, like, I don't know, some people are so worried about, like, oh, but if I think this, I'm less of a person. Like, no, you're not. You may not be the person you thought you were,
That's okay. You can be someone else. You don't have to be who you thought you were your whole life. Like, you can be. Some people never have any deviation from their, what they thought they were. And that's fine. Like, when presented with the idea of, cis and trans and all that, I was like, okay, well, where do I fit on that spectrum? Do I fit on that spectrum? What's going on here? I'm like, no, I'm comfortable with how I am and how I present and everything. That's fine. I feel like everyone should be able to be comfortable with how they present. And it's really unfortunate that that's not the case. And I think it's a real damn shame that in cyberpunk fiction, especially when you get into cyberpunk that deals with transhumanist stuff, there is such a dearth of content for that whole system. Oh, well, that's cool. That keep on breaking all his toothbrushes tonight. I swear. Oh yeah. Well, the '80s and the '70s, honestly, had some amazing style going for them, just in general. Feathered hair, the wild outfits. I mean, you look at like whatchamacallit, like metal, like hair metal bands of the day, as a for instance. Like, they're out there. One of my favorite things is recently, like, Dee Snider of Twisted Sister, with like, "We're not gonna take it," being co opted by people. And he's like, "You are the people we wrote that song for. Like, you're the ones we wrote it against. You're the assholes we're not gonna take it from anymore. Stop using our fucking song." Bring back Wild and Crazy Fashions, yeah. Bring back fucking Landschneck uh, nights with fucking foot long cod pieces filled with wine. Okay, I love this. So here we have just randomly a bright orange piece, and a pink piece. Are they going to show up in the final thing? The answer is no. No, they are not. Like, I know this is how the scene is supposed to look with just grays and everything, but I was like, what's the orange and what's the orange and the and pink piece for? Completely for support. Oh, god damn it. I knew that was going to happen. Just funny how it did. Just like all in one go. Okay, now we're getting the turbo laser tower. Okay. Took long enough. Ball gown to the end of the concert hall, yes or no? Yeah, why not? Fuck it. Be ballin'. Yeah, if you're digging it, go for it.
Like my like again at this point, I'm at the age where in the presentation where I can just kind of do whatever the hell I want to do by and large, and most people won't question me on it, which is a great time to be alive. But I feel like that should be just available to everybody at all times. No, that's fair. I mean, if you've got a ball gown and you want to wear it, yeah, of course you like. Why wouldn't you want to put it on for going to a fancy schmancy little concert thing? Oh, there we go. I'm going to tell you something about fancy clothing places. Um, when I'm not a big person for school dances and whatnot, and I wasn't, as I said, dating anybody most through pretty much all of high school. But I did go to prom because it's like, oh yeah, you should always go to prom. You should always like do the thing because you only get the chance to do it once. They say, which is not unreasonable. It's not unfair. So I went to prom with friends, as friends with people. Um, is that supposed to be green or is that supposed to be blue? I can't tell. I guess it's supposed to be. I don't know why it's blue there, but hey, whatever. And we're back to the single piece steps. Build an X-wing. First, get a 2 block. Then build the X-wing, you noob. Hey Zay, welcome in. Yeah. So, but when I went to my prom, I went with friends, and I and a couple other guys got tuxes with like the long coattails, gloves, cane, top hats, the whole deal. For three of us and all that ended up doing that, and we like did a pose like the Three Musketeers, and I loved it. It was great. Um, I had to dress up real fancy, which isn't usually what I go for, but every so often, special occasions, it's fine. And it was fun. Just dress up like a complete weirdo at prom because why not? You only do it once. You're already spending a ridiculous amount of money for this stuff, even if it's just renting a tux. Like, yeah, why not? Go for it. Yeah, the cane. We and don't forget the coattails. We were full out in time. It was fantastic. I loved it. It was great. But yeah, I definitely say like if you get the chance, like it's one of the reasons like I liked also going to LARP because I got to dress up and do things. Because like LARP is fun. Go out and dress up and throw little things of birdseed at people and scream fireball, lightning bolt, lightning. When I first was introduced to LARP, I saw the lightning bolt thing, video of old and all that, and like I thought it was the silliest thing. And it was. It was incredibly silly. It always was. So I was like, I was at a convention, and Sarp was like, "Hey, we're gonna be doing a thing." I'm like, "All right, cool." Go do the thing. I said I'm gonna. They had like one that was like between midnight and 4 a.m. I've always been a night owl, so I'm like, "Yeah, screw it. I'll do the midnight 4 a.m. because if I look stupid, right? If I look stupid, no one will know because nobody's gonna be up that late. And I played the world's tallest, most beardless dwarf. I hadn't grown my beard at that time. And I got every possible rule to get wrong, I got wrong. Just completely screwed up, didn't know what I was doing, whole thing. Isn't that fancy? I got everything wrong. It's fine. And then, like, I had, you know, you know, but it was, I had fun. And I played at LARP for like over a decade because it was fun. And careful, that I almost broke a piece. These are tiny. I just used to dress up, play make believe with people. Ideally, people enjoy. So invariably, you're going to run into people who don't. That's just kind of. So you have fun, have a good time, you relax, you chill. Hmm. Actually, impressed I got that right because oh my, I thought I got it backwards. Put too many X Wings together in my time, I tell you what. But yeah, and just get dressed up, do fancy things. Like if you want to get dressed up to go to a movie that you really like, because you want to dress like as a character or something, do it. If you just want to dress up in a fancy dress or fancy suit and go to like a nice restaurant, do it. Literally nobody's stopping you. Like maybe you're overdressed. Okay, cool. Like I will never understand this obsession with like, oh, you can't be cringe. Be cringe. Be free. Everything you like is cringe to somebody else. Putting all these wings in backwards. I am fantastic. Never have homeschoolers just insane and safe from speaking. Yeah, go for it. Like I said, it's like the older I get, the more I realize life's short. Do what you want to do because sooner or later you won't be able to do it anymore. And like I grew up with a family where like my parents are kind of workaholics. My grandparents were workaholics, and I've seen what that does to them, and it's not good. Like you're gonna get to the point where you're at beyond retirement age, and you won't know what to do with your life. And one day you won't be able to work anymore. It's not even a question of like going past for a moment the question of money. It's a whole other thing because that's a whole other thing to get involved with. But like, if you've got the money to retire, but you don't retire because you can't imagine retiring, what the hell was your life about? You do in that instance. Like the saddest thing for like, and here's the thing: if you genuinely enjoy your work and you could just be happy doing your job until the day you die, power to you. I don't want to stop you. You do you. That's fantastic. But a lot of people, it's like you want to have some kind of life
They'll put things off till after they retire. You know, this gigantic collection of books or video games, I'll play them or I'll read them after I'm retired. I'll do all these things after I'm retired. And when they're retired, like I remember, the thing that really just kind of cemented that for me was back in the beginning of the pandemic. And everyone had to stay home for like a month. Yeah, how do you live without hobbies? How do you live without? But like back at the beginning of the pandemic, you had like all these people being told, "Hey, stay home for X number of days, weeks, what have you." I remember seeing posts all over like my friends group, my whatnot of, "Oh my God, what do I do with myself? What do I do with myself? What do I do?" I'm like, I don't know. What are your hobbies? Play some video games, read some books, watch some movies, like something, anything. How is it that you have gotten so like built up that you can't find something to do? Also, all these extra pieces, look at all that. But yeah, I'm surprised we're done. So I didn't realize we were going for almost 2 hours at this point. Shouldn't be surprised, but here we are. But yeah, so there is the diorama. I actually thought one of these was actually the exhaust port, but no, it's just the bit of. There we go. These minifigs for the X-Wings and TIE Fighters are so small. I'm trying to like straighten out all the pieces. I'm worried I'm going to break everything apart again. But yeah, here, let me turn it this way so you all can see this side. There it is. Pew. Phasers. Yeah, it looks cool. My partner got me this. That's why it's also very special. My partner knows how much I love like this scene in Star Wars and how much I like miss playing it in the video games when they would come out with a video. So, got me this. It's really nice. So, I love Star Wars, and you can tell like this is a small fraction of my astromech collection. So it was like here's the seasonal one. It's mistletoe. My camera, you can do it. I believe in you. There you go. He's got a little bit of mistletoe on his little arm up there. This one's got a pirate hat and a peg leg. This one's just R2D2. And this one I felt was appropriate because this is R2D2 after he got blown up in the trench run. This is like, again, a small fraction. Like, if you gave me unlimited time to run around the droid warehouse or whatever it's called these days and just let me put these things together. But like, if you don't know, at Disney, you basically get all these parts that you can just put together into your own custom astromechs. You can even get packaging, like little clamshell packaging, put them in with a set of stickers so you can come up with your own code names for all of them. So this one, because he has a pirate hat, this was gotten for a friend of me when he went to Disney because he knows what I'm about. But he put this together, and I put together the clamshell. And I'll get it real quick here. I gotta be careful how I put this in because it's very reflective, but painty.
I love those. I love these little droids. Like, I like all the kind of cute robots that are out there because, like, I love Tachikomas. I adore astromechs. They're just so much fun. They have so many great designs that you can like mix and match together. When I finally get like, I'm gonna get a display set thing set up for Gunpla and other models and kits that I put together. And there's gonna be one little section. There's gonna be all my little astromechs that I have in one spot. Oh yeah, Tachikomas are great, and I love them in Gits and One Complex. But yeah, like I love mechanical designs. I love starships. I have all kinds of minis and models and stuff like that. Some of them are pre-built. I haven't built models for a while up until recently. Bring in the new Gundam again. Put them in a more standard pose. But this is the first snap fit model I've built in a while, and this is the first Lego set I've built in forever. I forgot how much those studs hurt my fingers. Oh man. Like, there was no pieces smaller than like some of the smallest pieces that were in that new Gundam kit. So there were some that came close in here. But yeah, but there's just, I love certain robots because like, is this not friend shaped? Seriously, look at this thing. It's adorable. How could you not love it? So I always do like the joke of like, this character had the foulest mouth in the entire trilogy. They had to bleep out every word that he said. Yeah, R2D2 was always like one of my favorite characters in the entire series, and I'm glad he was in every one of them. Uh, even though like, but like even the new ones, like BB-8, so adorable. The one that even though I didn't really like the last one that much, that little droid they had in there, the little wheel one, that was cute too. I love the little droid designs that they come up with for things. It's weird because like I felt bad in like Return of the Jedi when they were in Jabba's palace and they were like torturing these droids. I'm like, whoa, what the hell, man? Why are you like torturing droids? That's messed up. It's like torturing pets live on live on screen. Like, why would you do this? I mean, I know they were trying to show Jabba as like this really evil guy, but like, damn, all right, shit. Then like the Tamer of the Monster, not even gonna, the Rancor Tamer dude comes out crying when the Rancor dies. I'm like, that thing ate like 27 people, but you're gonna be like, oh, these droids, who cares? Wow, okay, that's gonna keep happening. I'm gonna keep hitting this thing with my hands. I guarantee. Actually, I'm gonna put it up like this so I don't hit it with my hands as much, and so everybody can still see it. Like, that's the ideal right here. But I can't hold it like that forever. See how long I can hold it for right now. But yeah, uh, this was fun. Like, I haven't done Lego in the longest time, and I was a little intimidated by this book, which was like similar, akin to like an old video game manual in size and thickness. Like, I was like, okay, what's going on here? And then like, I open it up and like, step one, take out this one piece, connect it to these other pieces. Very simple, step by step. And there's like pages where it's like, now put this shit together. Figure it out. Have fun. So that's a whole thing. But yeah, no, I love Star Wars, and I'm very big into the let your fandom flags fly. Enjoy what you want to enjoy, but also let other people enjoy what they want to enjoy, and don't be a jerk about it. Don't like. I don't like some of the new movies. That's fine. You know what I do? I don't watch them over and over again. I'll watch them the first time. I gotta form an opinion somehow, right? But like, okay, I'll watch the ones I enjoy watching. If someone really likes this one movie, what am I going to tell them they shouldn't like it? Come on, who does that? You can say why you, if they ask, you can say why you don't like something or what you didn't like about it. But also, like, there's been a trend. Like, I lived through the angry, um, the angry reviewer boom of the aughts, early 2010s, where like you had angry video game nerd and nostalgia critic and all those guys who were just like, I'm going to scream and yell and blah 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 about what I didn't like about this bad piece of media. And like, I can understand that to a certain point, because like, okay, people talk about things that they there was a lot of like bullshit where people go, I love this, even though it's like paid promotion or whatever. And it's like, no, let's have an honest talk about it. Like, did you like it? Did you not like it? You know, what did you like? What do you like? And like, it's perfectly fine to have criticism. I am hypercritical of things that I love because I can recognize the things that are bad about them and want them to be better. Case in point, I am very critical of Lord of the Rings. I adore Lord of the Rings. I'm Star Wars, but like, I adore Lord of the Rings. But let's not be honest. The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, kind of sausage fests. The Hobbit didn't even have any women in it at all. Except for like mentions of like Lobelia Sackville Baggins, like once or twice. The Fellowship of the Ring, Arwen gets mentioned. I don't even remember if she had any speaking lines, but if she did, they weren't relevant to the plot, really. It was just, oh, Aragorn, I love you. Please, da 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 da, whatever. Finally, by the end of the book, you have Galadriel, who is plot relevant, but just kind of acts to kind of get things moving. Doesn't really get terribly involved in anything. There's some references to things in the appendices that matter, but that's not relevant to what's going on in the story. And then finally, by Return of the King, we get Eowyn taking down the Witch King of Angmar, and that's the first time a woman has done something to move the plot forward. That's it. But it's progress. Like, it finally happened. So like, when they gave Arwen in the movies the role of like saving Frodo from the witch blades and whatnot, and drowning the ring wraiths in the Ford of Brunnen, I know way too much about the series. But anyway, so like, I'm like, yeah, okay. Technically, that was supposed to be a different elf, but it's an elf that we never see again, ever, in the story. It doesn't matter who it was who saves Frodo. If it's Arwen, great. She has more relevant role in the entire story now. Fantastic. We have someone who's not just a dude in a fantasy doing things. And I don't think Tolkien did that on purpose, on the sense of like, oh, I'm going to intentionally exclude women. He was writing a series of books detailing his like trauma from World War One. Like, that's what it was really about. And so he had those experiences with a bunch of other dudes for the most part. So he didn't think. And I think I like to believe about Tolkien is that he would look at that and go, "Oh, you're right. That was an oversight on my part. I would probably make an edit these days." And here's the thing, he constantly stole from other sources to like improve on stories that he liked but had problems with. Like, case in point, Macbeth. No man of woman born shall harm me. But what's the twist that Shakespeare put in? Well, this dude was a C-section, so he wasn't born of a woman, technically. And Tolkien was like, that's bullshit, man. Fuck that. Have a woman kill this man. Grow a pair. Right? Like, that's what it came down to. So that's why Eowyn kills the Witch King, because no man, no man may hurt me. I am no man. Shank. Great. Everyone loves it. And so if someone took Tolkien's ideas, because like Tolkien's ideas are very straightforward. Uh, evil is something that can exist in all of us. We all have the capacity for evil. And if we are given power, how we do evil will eventually somehow come through, whether or not we intended to, without other people constantly checking in on us and helping us out. And that simple acts of kindness are really what matters. Simple acts of good and kindness are the way that you fight evil, not taking up arms against it, though that matters in the short term. How you defeat it in the long term is you are kind, you are patient, you are generous. And that was like the entire point. And so if you want to take that and write another story where all that stuff comes into play, Tolkien should, I'd like to believe Tolkien would be like, do it. Send me the first draft. I'd love to read. Because that's what like he and his friends did. Like C.S. Lewis and Tolkien they weren't enemies, but they tore into each other about their stories because they wanted it to improve. They had their preferences about what they liked and what they didn't like. But like that's the thing of a process to write a story. Tell a story. And there's no like if you break things down to a simple enough level, there's no original stories. Right? There's just different original, interesting ways to present them. Because when you break them down to their core elements, what is this story about? What kind of conflict is it? Who's involved? What's all this stuff? It eventually becomes a matter of, okay, here is, this story. It's XYZ. And you can break things down very simply like that. And it's funny when you have like the bad movie descriptions of like, goes to return jewelry to the creator, for Lord of the Rings, where like it could be in any other story. But yeah, it's when you break a lot of stories down, they become these tales of, well, this isn't original, but it was done well. It was written well, it was acted well, it was, whatever well. That's the point that matters. Because like Star Wars had a lot of Akira Kurosawa stories in it. That's fine. Gundam stole from Star Wars. Char Aznable was meant to be Darth Vader. Beam sabers, lightsabers, you're going to tell me those are completely different. Okay, sure. Like, come on. It's fine to take inspiration from other things and put them into your own works about different subjects. Because Gundam's story is not Star Wars' story. I mean, there's still war crimes in both, let's be clear, but yeah, it's you're allowed to take things you like from this and that and the other thing and put them together. Indiana Jones, Star Wars, Back to the Future, all these things took from other stories, took from other places. Find a story that doesn't, and I will be shocked because everybody is influenced by something else. That's perfectly fine. And if you're critical of a story that you like, that just means that you have an idea how to do that story in a way that will resonate more with you and possibly resonate more with other people. I strongly recommend because you have these stories that are like it's this, but like a simple twist. I mean, come on. If flipping 50 Shades of Grey, which was a fanfic of Twilight, can get published and get multi-million-dollar movies, plural, made from it, just do and write what you want. Make what you want. Trust me. People will thank you for it. Which brings me back to earlier in the conversation, which I don't know if anyone who's currently on was here for, but I love the fact that the current Call of Duty games are causing so much slash fic to happen between the main characters because, yeah, make what you want. I have a friend who is obsessed with that stuff. I see it constantly on their feed, and I love it. Like it's not specifically my thing, but I'm glad they're having fun with it and that it's turned into this thing. Because like I remember Call of Duty only being this thing of just the multiplayer lobbies being endless pain of people screaming at me over terrible Xbox Live mics and calling me all kinds of slurs and shit. Like that's what Call of Duty was back in the day. And like now you have this whole community of people that are going like, okay, but what if Ghost and Soap were like in love? And what if also they were monsters? And what kind of monsters would they be? Like? It's so wonderful to see that degree of creativity going into it because like these there's and like the funniest thing is like obviously slash fic happens everywhere, right? You get slash fic out of anything that you can get going. But I listened to the dialogue in those games. Like I saw clips from the latest Call of Duty games. Uh, they're not like they're not just throwing that stuff in there just to throw that in there. I just seeing some of these things out of context. Like there is something going on there that isn't like there is no heterosexual explanation for some of these dialogue choices. All right, like there's something going on, and I think someone knew what they were doing. I don't know if it was the actors. I don't know if it was the directors. I don't know if it was the writers. But power to them because fuck yeah. Because again, anybody like so Baldur's Gate, right? Everyone loves Baldur's Gate 3. Everyone is like super horny for all the different characters in Baldur's Gate 3. And I am so glad that is the case because I tell you, oh yeah, the whiplash is phenomenal, but I'm like, yes. Because people would call me slurs in Xbox lobbies and be like, yeah, yeah. Now everyone's gay. What about it? But like, okay. So with Baldur's Gate was Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 were old games. Like 2D isometric. Oh, we have a visitor. More. Here we go. Yes, all. Yeah, hi. Say hello to everybody. Sniffing everything, gonna rub up on it. Oh. This is Stormcloud, everybody. But get back to Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 were great games for the time. I have to preface it that way. They were great games for the time. They were great. They were the best conversions of Dungeons and Dragons to the computer screen that you could get. Really? Really? This is no. Okay. You gotta get out of the box right now. I can't let you. No. Please get out of the. I know it's a cardboard box. Okay. You can sit in it later. There's plastic pieces in there right now. Okay. Can you please? Can you please? Okay. I'm going to. There we go. I'm going to bribe you with treats. Little girl. This is what she was trying to get into. I'm like, no, I don't want you to accidentally eat one of these things and you have to go to the emergency vet. That would not be fine. I have a plan. But original games like Baldur's Gate 1 did not have romance. Baldur's Gate 2 did have romances. And I gotta tell you, the romances for Baldur's Gate 2, it was one of the first video games I remember that had romance options in it. That wasn't like just a dating situation. There we go. Problem solved. But the dating options in Baldur's Gate 2 were not good or like nice. Like there were some options, but okay, there were 4 options for dating in Baldur's Gate 1, well, Baldur's Gate 2. So you had I forget the name of the type of elf, but it was an elf that had wings, but the wings had been cut off and the elf had been tortured and had a horrible life. It was the sweetest, like, movie you could ever possibly imagine. You had a wood elf who was deeply traumatized and not a, like, nice person, but a kind person, if that makes sense. Um, and then you had the Damimami dark elf that attracted a certain type of individual. And then the fourth, now, like I said, there's 4 options. 3 of them are women. The last one was the most milquetoast fucking white man paladin you could possibly imagine. And there were so many great characters in those games. Like, genuinely so many. And that was the one they were like, you can romance this guy. He's a paladin. He's got shortcut hair and a goatee. And he's a nice person who, sometimes has trouble dealing with all the bad things in the world. Hee hee. Okay. And this is from BioWare. This was BioWare's, like, original claim to fame, was Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. We're not going to talk about the original campaign for Neverwinter Nights, because I will be angry if I do. But let's then talk about, like, the next game that BioWare is well known for, Knights of the Old Republic, where there are 2 romance options. Asta Lashan and Cartho Winey. Oh, sorry, Onasi, Cartho Onasi. I really shouldn't be as mean as I am to that character, because the guy who voiced him went on to voice Kaidan Malenko in Mass Effect, and I liked him in Mass Effect. I'm not, I'm maybe a little alone on that, but I kind of like. But also Mass Effect. Yeah, so I keep hearing that, and I keep trying to play it, and at some point, I got the remastered edition of KOTOR 2 for the Nintendo Switch, which includes the fan patch that fixes everything. So I might love to try and actually set that up. The problem is, I don't have a capture card. I don't know how to get data, visual information, off of the Switch. So I don't want to do it on the PC, because that is a whole mess of what the fuck. So one day, when I get a capture card, I will see about streaming KOTOR 2, because I keep hearing it's so good. But the dating options, and, like, I want to be very clear, dating options in games to me are just kind of funny, because, like, the mechanics behind to get somebody to like you and date you and, go with you are so silly. They're so ridiculous. Like, you buy them gifts, you pat their head, you make the right dialogue choices, and sooner or later, woohoo comes out of the game, and, like, that's a thing. And it's very silly when you think about it for even more than 2 seconds. But there's games that do it well, and there's games that do it better than other games. But most of the BioWare games are just extremely silly. And it when Baldur's Gate 3 launched, I broke down laughing, because they accidentally bugged the game so that so many characters started with max affection for you and would just immediately try and jump in your pants. And I thought that was amazing, because that's a thing that can happen, right? There are some people who just are like, hey, you're hot. Want a bone? And that's it. And I'm not saying I'm one of those people, but I'm not opposed to the concept. But, like, realistically, that's an entire realistic thing that people do. I'm not gonna lie, like, though, she is not the nice person, but I can see it. So I've yet to play the game. I'm probably actually gonna put Baldur's Gate 3 on my queue in the near future. Because Karlach. I'm I look at Karlach and I go, yes, yes. Mm-hmm. I basically had the reaction that Shadowheart had of, oh, she likes it. She throw me over her shoulder and take me to safety. Yeah. Oh, and I've seen some clips of Karlach. I'm just like, I adore this character so much. And I like all the characters. Like, I probably wouldn't like want. I probably wouldn't want to romance all of them. I might want to romance more than I would in most games because, like, Dragon Age Origins, I romanced most of the romanceable characters in that game. I could not find it in my heart to romance Zevran. I know he's some people's cup of tea, but he was not mine. But my God, the romance with fucking wow, I'm blanking on his name. Templar Prince. Uh, Hold on, I have to look it up. Alistair, that was it. I was going through it. Alistair romance in Dragon Age Origins. Oh my God, it's so fucking adorable. It's so goddamn adorable. He is such a fucking nerd and so awkward, and it's akin to dating Garrus in Mass Effect 2, right? Oh my God, it's so good. Uh, I actually, so this is controversial. Dragon Age 2, I actually really liked the fact that in Dragon Age 2, all of the characters that you could romance were seriously flawed in some way, shape, or form. I loved that because now it's a question of, do you even want to romance them? And I feel like the answer to that for any given game with romance options should be, do you want to romance all of them? Sometimes it should be no. Sometimes you would not want to romance any of these people because they are not really people that you'd like to be in a relationship with for whatever reason. I feel like they did tremendous damage to the character of shut up now too. Um Anders in Dragon Age 2. Because if you played Dragon Age Awakenings and you had Anders, that Anders and the Anders in Dragon Age 2 are literally two different people on so many levels. And I know there's plot reasons for that. I still didn't like it because it felt like it should have just been a different character. That said, I still like the fact that in Dragon Age 2, all of those characters that you could romance were deeply, deeply flawed individuals, and you had to decide whether or not you actually wanted to romance any of them. Similarly, in Fallout 4, you could romance everyone all at once and nobody would care, which is lazy, to be very clear, but it's better, the better kind of lazy than the other kind of lazy, where you only have characters who are, here's the male options, here's the female options, and you can only ever date one person throughout the entire run of the game in this massive 60 or 100-hour game. Like, I don't know, let things get messy. Let there be X's. Let there be polyamory, even. Like Fallout 4 gave us basically very lazy polyamory, which, got, mods can handle a lot of stuff. But also, it was a case of, it also brought in the fact of, if you had open relationship, if you had active relationship with multiple characters who hated each other, right, you would make decisions that one of them wouldn't like, and you couldn't stay in those relationships all the time because sooner or later the other party of who's in the relationship with you would get fed up with how you were acting or what you were doing. Now that doesn't always happen in polyamorous relationships, because you often date people who are more aligned, but it can happen. And sometimes, you know, multiple people that you're dating don't get along. And they may not even be friends. That's okay. You don't have to be friends with everybody dating their partners. Like, I have friends who I don't really care for their partners much. And, like, that's okay. It's not that I hate them, it's just that we don't get along. It's fine. Not everybody has to get along. Not everybody, like, there's so much, like, binary thinking of, like, oh, you gotta be friends or you gotta be enemies. Like, no, you just be polite to each other and just let each other live their lives. That's fine. But yeah, like, Larry and letting you get chaotic and get messy, have, like, to go to the game that had not Polly, but like characters who were like, 'cause everyone involved, everyone in Fallout 4 and everyone in Dragon Age 2 was bi slash pan, except like the one dude from the DLC for Dragon Age 2, and that's lazy. It's the good kind of lazy because it gives everyone options. Because people are like, well, why can't I date Anders? Not Anders. Hayden in Mass Effect 1. If I can date him in Mass Effect 3, why can't I date him in Mass Effect 1 if I'm a guy? Right? You can date him in Mass Effect 3, so okay. But Dragon Age Inquisition was like, okay, here's characters all across the spectrum. Have at. Put in a bunch of options. Go wild. And I will give absolutely 0 points because I've already played my hand a little bit, but guess who my primary romance was in Dragon Age Inquisition? Just guess. I played my hand. You should be able to figure this out. If you're thinking or screaming to yourself, Cassandra, congratulations, you figured me out. I'm a simple man. What can I say? But yeah. But yeah, no, romances are silly, but they're fun, right? And if you do them well, they enhance the story. When you don't do them well, oh my god, they drag. Holy shit, they pull everything. But yeah, it's like, do we need a romance in Star Wars? No. That's why it was like a side plot that like every so often came up. Because like Han and Leia had a good romance, but it only has like 5 or 10 minutes of airtime total between like 3 movies. But yeah, that's what always kills me about romance stuff is like it's not always, but it's often done poorly, and when it is, it just drags everything else in that movie. I hated it in Jurassic World. Oh my god, it was so unnecessary in Jurassic World. But they're like, oh yeah, no, you gotta have a romance subplot. Won't watch. Okay, but yeah, no, it's took slightly longer actually than the high grade new did. Despite being Lego, so many pieces, 6 bags worth, plus a bunch of extras. This is what I intend to be using for runner shavings and whatnot, and sprue shavings for when I do other kits. I have a couple. Astromech down. Astromech down. Damage R2 unit too. All right, there we go. Everything's fine. But yeah, the next model I intend to make is going to be not sure what. See what comes in first, what I can find first. I got a Macross model, which if I get that one started, I will probably start part of my rant about Evils of Harmony Gold that I got started the other day on Tommy's channel when Tommy was making the Macross model. Because all my homies hate Harmony Gold. And we have good fucking reason to tell you. I've actually never watched Macross. Well, okay, I've watched like a Macross movie, but I never actually watched the original show. I never actually watched Robotech. So I have no idea at all, like the differences between the two shows, what Harmony Gold did for the shows. I just know that Harmony Gold is super litigious, and they're assholes, and they're actually really a real estate company, not an anime production. And they like to sue people just to sue them for the silliest fucking reasons. And I remember years ago when they were suing Piranha Games Incorporated, the makers of MechWarrior Online and MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries, and Harebrained Schemes, the maker of the BattleTech PC game, just the absolute ludicrous stuff in that lawsuit. It was absolutely absurd. But that will be a rant for another time. I think now is probably good because I was going to take a break, but it's close to midnight. I think now is a decent time to just wrap up. And since I was ranting about and talking about playing it, because my partner's been starting to play it, and so now I want to play it so I don't get spoilerized. I will probably ask on Twitter or something what class people should play. Because I have a couple of ideas, but I'm not yet set on any one. But someone is playing Baldur's Gate 3 right now, so I think we'll go over and raid. I will. Let's see here. What should I set up as the All right. We'll use this as the raid message. Yes, I'm a nerd. I apologize for nothing. And I will move us over to the ending screen and get us ready for the raid. But thank you all for coming by. I hope you had a good time. I hope you enjoyed the proto ASMR bits and it wouldn't blow out your ears or anything. But yeah, hope you'll have a good time zone. And I will see you next time. I'm not going to be streaming anything over this weekend, most likely. I might do a guerrilla stream on Sunday. We'll see. But I will have my schedule up on Sunday next week. You all have a good time. And I will see you next time.